Yeah. We,
You want me to do an introduction for you?
yeah.
Okay. Hi everybody. Thank you everybody for coming, taking some time off on your Sunday evening. I know it's dinner time, but it's always a good idea to have coffee before dinner because after that you're gonna be really hungry and you're gonna enjoy the meal. But I'm just here to do a nice introduction, just to I guess explain to you guys why Tung is here and how we met. So. We have Tung here, we have Hiep here, and we have Ling over here. So they're from Vietnam, in Hanoi. And what's the connection, right? 2 years ago, I married a Vietnamese woman, love of my life, and she is from Hanoi. So naturally, this coffee guy who has never been to Hanoi is gonna start hunting for specialty coffees. So that's what I did, and this guy's shop happens to be the #1 spot on there. So I contacted him. So what Tom did at that time was he was hosting. He had a bakery on the second floor, and then he had a cafe, a specialty coffee shop on the top. And I think the whole environment really sat in with me really well. Just having to have a conversation with somebody from Vietnam in a place where they produce coffee, to have interesting insights to how the specialty industry works over there, because we often hear a lot about Vietnamese coffee, hear a lot about their main trade, Robusta. And interestingly, when I met Tung for the first time, he gave me quite a bit of insight on what specialty coffee in Vietnam was. And I remember him passing me a bag of beans that were grown there. It was in THA1
Yeah.
years back. That really left an impression on me, because sort of it gave me an idea what Vietnam was like, what they were going for, and where their current status in specialty is. So for today, I think we sort of set up what we're going to be discussing is a little bit more on the scientific side, more on the agricultural things that we can learn for coffee that we don't usually see and hear in our industries nowadays. It is something that the industry is placing more importance from this year onwards. Certain things that you guys may find interesting after this course would be maybe the CVA, the Coffee Valuation Assessment, and how it's going to be more apparent and more, you're going to see more often over here. So I think all of you you're going to be seeing some forms later. So don't be too afraid. I think it's going to be very interesting. We like to I think the form that we have and use is going to be more factual, like what do we taste, rather than what does it make us feel. So without further ado, Tom is going to take over. Thank you so much, and we are doing the presentation.
Yeah. So, good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here during dinner time. And so, I'm Tung, and from Hanoi, Vietnam, and I am joining me is two of my team members. Thanks them a lot for being here, helping me, supporting me, doing all these things. And this is Ling, and this is Hiep, and we three other teams. They actually have coffee shops, and they are one of them is a roaster. Hiep is the one who is roasting on the coffee part for the coffee today, and he will talk a bit later. But yeah, that's my team, and thank you, Angelo, for bringing me here. It's been a blessing to be here for the first event. I think it's the first event of 2050, and today we're gonna talk about the topic of coffee breeding. I promise it's gonna be very approachable because I started as a coffee professional. Yeah, yeah, so I started as a specialty coffee professional, as Angelo told you about. I previously run a coffee shop called Citric Mix Malik along with my partner who makes pastry, but we just closed last year, and then Citric Mix Malik became my personal consulting brand, and also I'm a contributor for the Search magazine. It's one of the most famous magazine in the world about specialty coffee, next week, if you're following Trust Instagram, you're gonna see me taking over the Instagram account for World Coffee Jakarta. And yeah, I know how to cup coffee. I'm one of the judge for the Cup Excellence international competition. And yeah, and also the special thing, I think the special thing about me and the reason why I'm here, because I have a master degree in coffee. And you don't believe there is a master degree in coffee, but there is one from Ili Cafe. They have a collaboration program with the University of Udine in Italy. And they have a master degree in coffee where we learn about something about economics, which means that we learn about the trading side of it, what the big brands like Starbucks or Ecom or things like that, what they are doing, and we learn about science. Science is, wait a minute. Okay, science, we learn about the coffee trees, what are the other parts of the coffee tree, how do they work. And one of my favorite subjects in my master degree is coffee breeding, because I think that is a very interesting thing. And yeah, I think we should adjust this. Okay, no, that is why this brand is here today. And so I want to know, you guys know about the reason why we have to have an understanding about coffee breeding. It's a very interesting topic. And I want you to know about the limited gene pool of coffee Arabica, and we are gonna have some descriptions. These are the things you're gonna know today, like the breeding basics. So what is the way the new coffee Arabica varieties come to life, and what characteristic do you have to look for? And yeah, we're gonna talk about the F1 hybrids. They are the new coffee varieties, the future of the coffee world, in other terms. And yeah, and we're gonna talk a bit about the futures, like what coffee varieties we're gonna have in 2050. Yeah. So I want to start with a statement of from 2050 themselves, and they start with the reason why this brand came to place, because in 2050 half of the land available for cultivating coffee Arabica will no longer to be able to plant coffee Arabica by 2050. There is multiple research that carry out this problem, but this is one of them. And this is the truth. And if you think about 2015, it's actually just 25 years from now. And 25 years is actually a very short time from here until when we reach 2050. But it doesn't end here in 2050, because we don't just have climate trends, we also have things like pathogens. Like, if you know about the pathogens that is very infamous in coffee, that is coffee leprous. You can see that one of the pathogen is evolving, and they are affecting some of the coffee varieties that is meant to be resistant to the variety. So if you think about the 2050, 25 years from now, if you imagine coffee as a human, it is very simple. It's as a human. So in 2050, the climate, it will be very hot. For example, it's very hot. So it's no longer suitable for the human to grow, to thrive in that environment. And there is another thing that is we have in the outer world. There are so many diseases. So the human cannot live anymore. What will you do? So the one thing that most farmers or most people think about is we should improve the living conditions, the living environment of the human, like we do focus on better agronomic practice. That is, so we create an environment that is like we install freezers. We install AC everywhere, so the temperature will be lower. For example, if you think of coffee as a human, so it's, but also we try to make the environment is much easier. But I think it's like the way we can we are trying to prevent things like things happening. We are trying to fighting against the environment and fighting against nature. That is not the. I think it's one way to do, but it's not the way we should stick on, because it's like we are trying to fight against nature. So what the coffee works is going to do is like they are trying to invent better coffee Arabica varieties. What I mean by better, I will talk about it along with you today, and you know what is the better coffee Arabica varieties. And so, first, I want to talk a bit about the topic. Our main character today is coffee Arabica. So you all know that coffee Arabica is a tribe of coffee Canephora and coffee Agenuides, right? And I want to notice one thing, that is the first coffee Arabica tree is very different from the coffee Arabica we have today. Most people think that it's like match. It's like 1 + 1 is equal to 2, but it's not the same, because it's not Canephora plus Agenuides, and we have coffee Arabica. The first coffee Arabica tree must be very different from what we have today, because this event where they cross together, it happens from 1 million to half a million years ago, and to our human, where we can have a very short lifespan of 100 years, for example. This sounds like a very long time, but for nature, it's actually coffee Arabica is very recent species, and because this event just happened very short time ago in terms of nature's time, that makes the coffee Arabica have very low genetic diversity. Actually, it's one of the lowest genetic diversity crop in the planet. And if we can compare it to some crops like potatoes or wheat or rice, for example, it has, or corn, it has the lowest genetic diversity among all the crop. That's one thing I don't think many people knows. And to add to this it is self-pollinate. And self-pollinate is like the coffee tree pollinate with itself. So if the reason why we have different people, all the people in this room are different, and the reason why your siblings, it's different from you, because you have the same parents, but you are different from you, is because because we have the male and the female cross with each other, so we create the different tribe every time. But because the coffee Arabica, you imagine it's the same tree, and it create and from the same tree create a lot of different children. So it has very low genetic diversity. I won't talk about this too much today, but this is a research that is very recent. It was released last year, and it talk about the event that is coffee Agenuides, that is crossed with coffee Canephora, that I talked about previously, and makes the coffee Arabica has very low genetic variations, and you can see that here. This is one thing from the paper, and so because we are specialty coffee people, most of us are specialty coffee people, and so I want to talk about some of the varieties we are going to talk today. First, I want to, if you talk about coffee Arabica varieties, you will know that first we have the Ethiopian varieties that is mostly grown in Ethiopian, right? We have this big group of called Ethiopian varieties. Then we have the Typica and Bourbon, and in the Typica and Bourbon we have mostly on the coffee varieties that is cultivated today, like the Maragogipe or the Lorena, on everything is here. And then we have the Intergrass variety. This is the topic, most of the topic we will talk today about in Intergrass variety, like the Katimo and the Lempira, everything is here. And then we have the intergroups, that is F1 hybrid. F1 hybrid is also one of the varieties that we are covering today. Yeah, so we have 4 main groups. About these groups is they are new groups that we won't talk about today. But we have the Ethiopian, we have the typical bourbon, we have the intergrass variety. The Cantimon Sachimo is included here. And we have the intergroup that is F1 hybrid. So I want you to have some, because I have been talking, so I want you to talk a bit. I want you to talk about what do you want from a coffee variety? From your perspective. As a barista, as a coffee enthusiast, as a drinker or whatever. Just think of something. Tesla land race. Very land. This is very interesting because I have kind of a pretty similar presentation with this topic last month in Vietnam, but the participant was mostly farmers, and they all said a bit different things are a bit different. So I think we can see the results, and so the most important thing seems to be okay. Interesting because previously when I host an event with farmers, they all seems to be caring about yield and the consistency of the quality. But here we talk a lot about the flavors of the coffee. So as a consumer, you guys seem to like tasty, sweetness, flavors, berries, like notes. Yeah, this then tastes like lavender flavor clarity. So I can see that I think half of the respondents today we talk about coffee flavors, and the other half talk about sustainable inclusivity and salt tree high. That is very good. Rust resistant, things like that. Yeah. So this is one. So cup quality is very important, and it is one of the focus of the coffee breeder today. So this is one of the traits that people are looking for. The breeders, coffee breeders, the scientists, they are looking for in coffee breeding. First, this is a photo of the THA1 variety. That is new varieties in Vietnam. Sorry, we don't have it today, but yeah. So the first one is the yield. That means that it brings a lot of fruits. So more fruits mean that the farmers can profit a lot. And being robust, I think this is one of the respondents have this answer. That is being robust. That means that it's strong, so it's easy. I mean, easy to raise, and you won't be afraid if they are too fragile in front of winds or bad weather conditions. They have large bean. This is one thing that is quite similar to you. Yeah, it brings more profit for the farmers. And this one is very important because it has resistance to some pathogens and drought resistance, because in some area, like you can think of some areas like in Ethiopia or in Yemen, for example, they don't have access to water. So that's why one of the reasons some coffee are always natural process in German, for example, because they don't have access to water. And cup quality is also one of the considerations, although it's not the main consideration of the breeders. So now we should start talking about some technical things. I promise it will be very simple. So I want to show you a video of how the new coffee breeding is carried out, coffee variety is carried out. This is from a video from World Coffee Research. Oh, sorry.
This video, you go to YouTube connection. Yeah.
Yeah, it's working.
I don't know why. Can you just turn it off and
It's because of this.
yeah.
Okay. I'm guide you through the videos.
The flowers are hermaphrodite. That means in the same flower you have both males and females and the same flower.
You can see that is the reason why coffee Arabica is self-pollinated.
So how the pollination works is that first you need to isolate the males and isolate the females, so it doesn't self-pollinate. So what you do is you promote flowering on your male part, extract the flowers, extract the anthers, extract the pollen from the anthers, and then you conserve that pollen. And then
Sorry. Oh, sorry. It's okay. It's okay.
Are you connected to the Wi-Fi? Connected to the Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah, I connected. Let's try. Okay.
No worries. Nowadays the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Could I turn on 5G or just a quick?
Yeah.
I think it's working.
Yeah.
extract the pollen from the anthers, and then you conserve that pollen. And then on the other side, with the female plants, what you do is you again, once the flowering is promoted, you select the female flowers, then you emasculate the flowers. Emasculation means that you remove the anthers, which is where the pollen and the male part is from the same plant.
So because you are bringing the pollens from the different plants to, you are basically bringing the pollen from the plant A to, and you put it into the plant B, because if you leave it like naturally, the plant B will self-pollinate. So they will self-pollinate, and so it's not breeding. If you want to breed new varieties, you have to take the pollens from different the different tree, different type tree.
Will not self-pollinate. So once you emasculate the flower, you bring the pollen that you collected previously from your male parent that you want to cross, and then you brush or you.
Okay. I think it's okay. And put the pollen on the same flower. Then you put the pollens on the same flowers, and what you do is like you have to cover that flowers, because if you leave it open, the pollens from the same tree will still fall on that flowers, so it will self-pollinate. This is how you breed coffee. You can see that it's very time consuming, and it is very hard to do well. That is why breeding is not simple, and it is very manual work. You can see that. This is how traditional breeding works, and so we will back on our topic. So I will explain the previous video. The previous video is basically you have two parents. You have the parents A and parents B. You imagine the parents A, they are green, and the parents B, they are yellow, and yellow is stronger than green, for example. So if they mate together, the new trees on the children will only be yellow. This is very basic thing. You can think of it like this one is resistant to some pathogens like coffee leavers, the yellow one, and the green one is not resistant to coffee leavers. So if you cross these two together, all the children will resistant to coffee leavers. But what happens is these children, if they have children again, so the second generation, some of them will, what we call is segregate in that you will have some plant that is still green, or they are not resistant to coffee leavers. So what the scientists are gonna do is they will remove these green away, and they will keep all the yellows, and then they keep selecting the trees with the yellow characteristic, or in our case it is resistant to coffee leavers, and they select until the 5th generation. And X generation, you can see that it takes 3 years, because the new coffee tree usually when it starts from the seed to when it grows into a tree that is able to produce coffee plants, it takes about 3 years. So if you select until the 5th generation, for example, it will take 12 years or more, even more. So if you think now, this year is 2025, and until 2015 we have only 25 years left. So if we want to produce new coffee tree, we can only produce maybe 2 new types of coffee trees. It's technically, so it's not easy, but I will tell you what the work the scientists they are doing now. So one example of the previous one is the sachimo. We have the sachimo. Sachimo is very close. It's very similar to kachimo, and we're gonna cut one sachimo today. Technically not sachimo, but it's sachimo. And we cross with the Ethiopian lamprey. This is how the varieties Tamaya, one hybrid, they come to life, and they cross these two together. And after 3 years, they got the first generation that is called F1 hybrid. So this is a reason why they are. Some people already know that if we cannot take the seed of the Stamaya or some other F1 hybrid and you replant these seeds because the children, so they will be very different from the parents. I talked to one of the guys behind the Stamaya project, and he told me that if we take the seed of the Stamaya, for example, and some other F1 hybrid, only about 15% or maybe even 10% of the trees will be Stamaya or F1 hybrids. The other 90% will be, maybe they will be a mix of the Sachimon and Ethiopian landrace, so they have some characteristic of the Sachimon and some characteristic of the Ethiopian landrace. They are very weird, and now we start to learn some about the history of the coffee breeding, and we will start with the first variety. I think you know about this variety. It is a Timor hybrid, and Timor hybrid is a variety that is discovered in 1927 in East Timor, and this is a variety that is very important to the coffee world today, because it's the first coffee Arabica crossed with the Conifera, and this one is a hybrid. And if you want to learn, this is a paper about it. This varieties come to place in the very right time, because in the 20th century, most of the coffee Arabica planted in the world are Typica and Bourbon. And this is from the World Coffee Research website, and they are susceptible to some disease like coffee livers. Susceptible, that means if they catch these varieties, they will get affected and they will get sick. Other like coffee berry disease, and we have the nematodes. That is, so they are very weak. They are not resistant to this variety. So the Timor hybrid, they come as a godsend. And you can see that if we come back to the varieties, most of the coffee in the world right now is like the SL, for example, like the Patre, Maragogipe, on your favorite variety, Pacamara, Typica and Bourbon. So they are susceptible to this variety, to the pathogen. But luckily, we have the Timor hybrid. So what is the importance of the coffee of the resistance? Why we need to have the resistance to coffee livers, for example? Because coffee livers is a very serious disease in the coffee world. Like, if you look at some numbers from Latin America, you can see that half of the area of maybe 12 years ago, half of the area for coffee plantations in Latin America, they are susceptible. Have been affected by the coffee livers. 12 years ago, the coffee in Latin America is a bit different from today. And this is a report from the US, from the ICO. And there is a report from the US for El Salvador on the coffee livers outbreak. You can see that in 2014, the coffee livers make the coffee industry in El Salvador, they lost about 60% of the total yield, which is a disaster. So you lost like 60% of your salary, yearly salary. You can imagine that in that way. So it's a disaster. But luckily we have Timor hybrids. So Timor hybrid, so the Thai scientists, what they do is they found this Timor hybrid, and they start to breed with some varieties like Katura, and we have the Katimor. And they start to breed with Vilasachi, and we have the Sachimor. And this Sachimo and Sachimo is very important for the breeding projects of breeding programs of coffee organizations or coffee research center in the world until today. Because for Katimor, for example, they start to select the Katimor. Katimor is actually not just one variety, but it's an umbrella of a lot of different varieties. But they are on the children of Timor hybrid and Katura. And so they select the Katimor. They select until the 5th generation, for example, or they breed the Katimor with some other varieties. And we have the Castillo. It is very similar, right? We have the Colombia, and we have the Ruru 11, which is one variety that you hate from Kenya because it's Rui or blackcurrant. Yeah, but it's very important for the farmers. And we have the Lempira. I think Lempira is from Honduras, I think so. And we now move to the Sachimo. We have the Marcellesa. Marcellesa is one variety that is the parent of the Stamaya. And we have the Parainema. Parainema is one variety that we're gonna cup today. And I think it's delicious. And then we have, from this variety, we have the F1 hybrid. They are the coffee, which I call the future of the coffee war, because they are the cross between this variety, one of the Sachimo, usually one of the Sachimo with the Ethiopian variety, and we have the F1 hybrid. I will tell you about what is the reason why they breed the Sachimo with one of the Ethiopian varieties later. But these are all called intergrass varieties. Intergrass variety is a variety that is not purely Arabica. So you think of it like the Arabica with some Canephora genes, or maybe some genes from Liberica. We can call the intergrass varieties. And if you talk about the cup quality of these variety, like intergrass variety, like you think that the Castillo, for example, they are bad, right? Catimo very bad. So Parainema should be the same, but it's not the case, because if we talk about the cup quality, look at the Cup Excellence program in Honduras in 2015, and they won the first place was Parainema, 91 point from Los Jojos. And in 27, we have 91 point and is from Parainema from El Loren. This is the farm that we're gonna cup today. Yeah, the farm that we're gonna cup today. One Parainema from El Loren. Yeah, and what is F1 hybrid? F1 hybrid mostly some variety. If you heard about these F1 hybrid, Stamaya, Central Americano, and Muromaya, and usually they are the cross between an Ethiopian with an intergrass variety. They are quite new to the coffee world. I don't think I've seen a lot of these F1 hybrid. Mostly maybe H1 Central. It is called H1 or Central Americano, and it's mostly planted in Nicaragua. But some countries are starting to produce this variety. But now you wonder why they take one Ethiopian and one Sachimo. So you might think that we take the Sachimo they are bad because they have Canephora or Robusta gene, right? So they have bad cup quality. And so we take one coffee variety with very good cup quality, like an Ethiopian. So we cross it with this variety, and we have a new coffee variety with okay cup quality, but it's not the case. It's not the case because what the breeder actually do is they are exploiting. One thing is called heterosis in breeding. That is, if you take two coffee varieties that is very genetically distant from each other, and you have heterosis where the children they will have better characteristics than either of the parents. Like they will have better Jew than even better Jew than the Sachimo, and they have and they are even more robust than the Sachimo. And for the cup quality, the best thing is the maximum it can get is, I think it's the maximum it can reach it should be the same as the Ethiopian. Yeah. So some proof from scientific research, like the F1 hybrid. This is a paper about Stamaya, and they say that the Stamaya F1 have better agronomic characteristic than the Marcellesa, or and Jew is also better than one of the parents. It's the Marcellesa. Marcellesa is already a very high yielding coffee varieties, but the Stamaya even surpass it. This is to agronomic things, so I won't talk about it too much. Yeah, and in Vietnam we have some projects that is from the European Union, or they are planting F1 hybrids. But if you look for some countries for Nicaragua in Central America, they also have some F1 hybrid. And if you want to see about F1 hybrid, the CIRAT is from an institute from France. They usually do breeding. Stamaya is one of the reason from CIRAT, and you can look for F1 hybrid from Wokafi research. And BreedCaps is one of the projects that is happened 6 years ago in some country over the world, including Vietnam, and they carrying out breeding new coffee project, coffee variety, mostly F1 hybrids. And and now this is a scientific paper where some characteristic of these varieties, that is a target of the breeders are looking for in F1 hybrids. You can see that it is very similar to what we talked about previously. Productivity, quality, like cupping scores here, which is a good thing. So in the future we can get still have quality that is tastes good. And plant health, that is, and low fertilization. That is one thing that the farmers will love, because you feed it, you even leave it to starving, but it still produce some some seeds for you. It's an accident. I'm just kidding. This is more clearly. This is also some characteristic that is the same as above, but is. And this, along with the Stamaya, we have some other varieties like Central Americano H1 or Munomaya, their own F1 hybrids. And if you look at the resistance of these varieties, they are totally resistant to coffee leprous. And they are tolerant to coffee berries disease, which means that the disease will still on their body, but it will not affect them. And I get back a bit about F1 hybrid. These are the varieties of the future. But the hardest thing is because we cannot take the seeds from these varieties to plant new trees, so we are here. We are still here. And what they cannot make new Stamaya from traditional means, like take the seeds from take the fruit from the tree and plant new seeds. What they do is they propagate the coffee trees or some other plants. They are very different from humans. That you can take one part of the trees, like the leaves or the tip of the stem. The tip of the stem, you cut it off, and you plant it, and it will become a new tree. Like you multiply them, you make a clone. But it's very time consuming. It's not easy. What they can do is they take a leaf and they cut it they cut it into pieces, and then they will put some control medium in it, but they have to have a lab like this, and they will raise these pieces of the leaf, and eventually it will become a new tree, but it is very expensive. Usually F1 hybrid seeds are much more expensive than traditional seeds. And if you want to know about cup quality, because we are specialty coffee people, and the cup quality of F1 hybrid in, for example, in Nicaragua, in COE in 2017, the Central America no H1 they got 90 points, won second place, and in the most recent COE, the Nicaragua, the H1 got, I don't know, but it's got 89 points, so it's not a bad varieties in terms of cup quality. And the last thing I want to talk about in this presentation is about some. May I have the? Yeah, last thing. Yeah. Yeah, and the last thing about my presentation is I think you want to know about some other coffee species, because if you watch competitions, if you are into competition, a lot of competitors, they are using new coffee varieties like Genuides, or some people are looking at Stenophila or Liberica or even Racemosa in the competition. So you would think that how does this variety taste, and how will they be profitable to grow in the future? I think you are very, you should know about something about this variety. So I talked with Benoit Bertrand. He's a coffee breeder. He worked for CIRAT, one of the leading organizations about coffee breeding in the world today, and he's a creator of the Tamaya varieties. And actually I studied with him, so this is an interview with him. He looks a bit different from the photo, but I think it's fine.
The first one is
okay. I think it's not on. I don't know.
yeah, connect again.
Audible? It's just 3 minutes, so it's gonna be fine.
The future is Stenophila or just whatever. But can you explain why the future of coffee is not this?
It's okay?
It died. The speaker died. The charger, but can you?
Oh yeah. Okay. I think it's we can. Could you read the subtitle? Okay. Okay.
Can you loud enough?
For example, in I think there are crossings like, for example, in Brazil they have crossing Racemosa and Arabica.
Oh, really?
And just like about the Robusta as you just told me. So could you explain why is this not the future?
Okay. No. Okay. Just to understand better. Yes. And quickly. We observe. We know that we have more 140 species. Okay, of coffee. My concern is that the majority, like Nguyen, I think all those species, maybe Canephora, Arabica, Iberica can be cultivated without problem, but the other species are not suitable for give you high productivity. It's just some specialty coffee, strange coffee, rare coffees, and no more. You cannot say that the future of the coffee will be with other species, in my opinion. What we can use is the genes of those species. So we can do breedings, and we can use gene editing using the genes coming from those species. But using the species that are genuineness, we can have profitability. We just have profitability for small growers in Colombia, in certain areas, but it is not a new market. It's not something. It's just a dream. And I have put here 11 new species here in Nicaragua that I observe all the day, and I can say you, it's just catastrophic. Okay?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we can see that so it's he already said that this variety is not really viable, but they really have some characteristics that we can exploit from these varieties. But is this, I mean, if for specialty coffee producers, farmers, they may try to like world class coffee producers, they may try to plant this variety, but for the whole coffee world, when the farmers, they are not, a lot of farmers, they are not really making a living out of growing coffee, these varieties will not be the future for them. And so we're almost done with the presentation, and now we'll move to the cuppings. We have, we have 6 cuppings, 6 coffee today, just 6 coffees. I want to bring more coffees, but I think 6 coffee is enough. We have 2 Catimor. We have one H15 hybrid. H15 is a F1 hybrid from Vietnam. 3 of them are from Vietnam. And we have a geisha, the natural geisha from Vietnam. It is from the last of your handouts. And the geisha is a very first harvest of the geisha from Vietnam. I hope you will like it. And this fall coffee was roasted by my roaster friend here in Hiep. And we have an Ethiopian landrace grown in Vietnam. What is interesting about this Ethiopian landrace is we have a new variety that Angelo tested in Vietnam that 20 years ago, the one institute in Vietnam, they crossed the THA1, this variety, the Ethiopian, with the Catimor. Then now we have a new variety called THA1, but because this year the quality is not so good, so I'm not bringing it here today for you to taste. The last year was good. And to make things more interesting, we have one Parainema from Vietnam, from Honduras. And so I want to show you what is the some intergrass variety that is Parainema. They have the genes of the Robusta. It's an intergrass variety, but it can taste. How it will taste, I will show you. And now my roaster will talk to you a bit about how he approached roasting the coffee.
Hi everyone. I'm glad to be here to share with you my approaches on roasting today. Is there anyone is a roaster? A roaster today? No? One? Oh. Okay. Okay, let's start with the baseline roast on traditional roaster. The goal of the baseline roast on traditional roaster is present each of the cultivated varieties side by side and highlight the difference, the genetic difference between them. These genetics also the main variable affecting the roast. Okay, the waste loss of So base dry roast is typically aim for 1 to 2% above the initial moisture content. The full track around 8 minutes. The rationale for 8 minutes is that isn't too long or a relatively a short time to reach the full track, and almost roasting machine running by 50 to 80 loads can achievable. Okay. The development time roughly 80 seconds, and at color, my metric is 65 to 70 whole bean and 110 ground is the espresso green. Right side, yes.
Espresso right side.
And because I have experience on roasting many cultivated varieties, this means I'm already coming and roasting with some assumption. Like geisha coffee will be floral and fruity. Catimor at their best, they can be balanced, interesting. Take it like daily breakfast coffee. Yes. For hybrid coffee, I find myself enjoying Catimor hybrid coffee more than some I do with old school Catimor coffee. They have pleasant acidity, more comfortable. Yes.
So what?
And next is by opposites. This is my optimized roasting approach. Geisha coffee do well when roasted rather quickly. If a roaster approach them roast too slowly, the savory will dominate the floral. And when I roast hybrid coffee, I consider the blend coffee cultivar to use to create the hybrid. For example, like 815 coffee, they combine Catimor and Ethiopian coffee. My thought on process roasting is follow a similar roasting style to I use on Ethiopian coffee. Generally, I found great results when I'm pushing them quickly to full track. I could avoid the savory and keep it more floral. With Catimor coffee, this is when I will have more benefits when roasted them slowly. They tend to more pleasant and reduce the herbacea notes. Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
And now we will begin. Before we cup the coffee, we gonna do some. Sorry, we cup the coffee using the descriptive form from the CVA today. But before that, we gonna smell some aroma references. There will be references of the. There will be 10 references, and you will have to please on your handout. Please turn on to the first page of your handout. And we will divide into two groups, so you can smell the one group is here, the other group is over there.
No, wait. Two groups. Both of you guys would do the
yeah.
smell sample over here.
Sorry.
We divided it already into here. So and then after that we will prepare our cupping session here. So yeah.
Yeah, so you to try to guess which one is what flavors. Please, there is cotton balls in it. Please don't please open this like this. Don't turn it over, or please don't remove the cotton. It's cheating. These will be the flavors in a coffee today. Yeah, I hope so. I mean, because there will be some flavors not in the coffee, but most of them will be in the coffee today.
Có phải là mình nên là có thành game trong một cái tự đoán cái đấy đúng không?
Yeah.
So yeah, it will be a fun game when you smell it and try to guess what it is. We will tell you later what it is, okay?
Yeah, I give you maybe 15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay, can you prepare like divide into two groups first, please? Thank you.
Okay.